imagine trying to sleep with that sound right above your room. That is the sound of freedom. Hi everyone, I'm Bill Churchwell, and this is a Heroes at Sea podcast from KIII and Tegna. A couple of months ago, I was going through my junk folder and there was one email that caught my attention. It was for a Sailor for a Day program through Naval Air Force Atlantic that included 24 hours on board the U.S.S. Harry S. Truman. The Truman is a Nimitz-class nuclear-powered aircraft carrier at sea. I thought, hey, that sounds pretty cool. A month later, I was on a plane along with 3 News photographer Preston West, and we were heading to Norfolk, Virginia, home to the world's largest naval base. It was there where I was among a small group of reporters from across the country selected to get just a taste of what life is like for a U.S. sailor. A part of that experience was water survival training. Suited up in full aviation gear, which, by the way, included helmet and boots, we had to prove that we could swim and tread water. For someone who is not an avid swimmer, I was trying not to drink pool water. It was quite the challenge, but part of the same rigorous training sailors and aviators go through to make sure they can survive if their plane or helicopter crashes at sea. Here's photographer Preston West and his take on all of it after we were done.
I guarantee you, I gave it all I could. It just felt like I was sinking from the beginning.
The next day, wearing very uncomfortable cranials or helmets, we climbed into the back of a C-2 Greyhound or Cod for a very long flight out to sea. The Truman ended up being about 100 miles off the coast of Florida. Roughly 3 hours later, we were there, landing on a floating airport going from 130 miles per hour to 0 in just a couple of seconds. Stepping out, we were transported into what felt like something out of a Star Wars movie. We were surrounded by water, as far as the eye could see, with F-18 Super Hornets coming and going just feet away on a very busy flight deck. We were quickly led away inside to meet the commanding officer of the ship, Captain Nick Deanna.
We are a floating city and an airport and a representation of U.S. power that we can move worldwide basically at a moment's notice.
You could hear the pride in his voice as he talked about the more than 3,000 sailors and 2,400 aviators serving on board.
And these are men and women who continually and consistently leave everything they care about and love behind: their friends, their families, their lives, even their iPhones and Samsung Galaxies, and come to sea operating in what's not necessarily a dangerous environment. I don't accept that premise, but it is a completely unforgiving environment to any mistake, either human or mechanical, and these young men and women do a phenomenal job.
The ship itself is massive. It's as long as the Empire State Building is tall. CVN 75, named after the 33rd president. Give 'em hell, a lifetime slogan for Truman supporters, can be seen on just about everything, including several patches, as well as pictures of him in various parts of the ship. And it was a ship with many ways to get lost, with plenty of ladders and passageways, or P-ways as they called them. Over in the hangar bay, where many of the planes are stored, is where we came across Lieutenant Commander Chase Matthews from Port Aransas.
Really get that, that feeling of I'm doing something important, making sure everybody at home can have all the freedoms that they want.
On the ship, Matthews is in charge of pushing buttons to defend the carrier with its weapons.
To show you how important the job is, the captain of the ship has weapons release authority, and he's the only one. He can delegate that authority to the job that I do, so myself and 3 or 4 other people are the only ones on the ship that can actually push the button to launch the weapons.
One thing we noticed on the Truman is that he is older than most of the sailors on board. In fact, a majority of them are under the age of 21. These are sailors who are responsible for the care and maintenance of multi-million-dollar aircraft, who just a couple of years ago were just learning how to drive. And for some, it is their first time away from the comfort of family and friends. As you can imagine, it is not hard to get homesick for these sailors who can spend months at a time at sea. In some ways, the ship is a floating city. There are ways for the sailors to keep occupied during their time off, There's a library, a TV room, even a Starbucks. And there isn't a lack of workout equipment. With limited space on board, you will see stair steppers and treadmills right next to the jets in the hangar bay. We also came across a guy by the name of Theodore Hegland. He's a machinist mate, 3rd class. He's a Texas native and decided to join the Navy after attending Texas A&M Corpus Christi.
As far as going into the Navy, it's been a long road. I did go to Texas A&M at Corpus Christi, and then from there with the Naval Air Station right next to the campus, with them having all the jets and everything flying around on a daily basis, it really kind of drawn me towards that field.
Our short 24 hours went by faster than I wanted. Waking up the next morning, which happened to be my birthday, getting to watch the sunrise at sea on board the Truman is a feeling you can't put into words, other than it was a sense of patriotism, knowing the sacrifices these sailors are making to keep everyone back home safe. An experience this reporter won't soon forget.